hearing is the opening theme from Lucio Fulci's 1979 horror film, Zombie. It's calm, melodic, and reminiscent of a relaxing island getaway. The music suggests comfort and safety, but in the film, this same cue plays immediately before and during some of the most graphic scenes ever put on screen. This contrast is intentional. Composer Fabio Frizzi designed the music to create a false sense of security. He has said the score was meant to pleasantly deceive the audience, and once the violence begins, this pleasant theme becomes part of a larger psychological technique. Now, in most films, music reinforces what we're meant to feel. Horror usually relies on tension, eerie strings, also ambient sort of musical beats, but this film's main island theme is bright, simple, and entirely non-threatening. It's structured around a major key melody and a gentle rhythmic pattern. Early in the film, when the characters sail toward the island of Matul, the music and the visuals work together to present the setting as peaceful. But once the horror begins, the music doesn't change. The cheerful theme continues, creating a direct clash between what the viewer sees and what the viewer hears. It's probably one of the very first horror films that truly subverted our expectations. Now, when taken on its own, the Caribbean theme, or Caribbean theme, contains no cues associated with danger. It's calm, repetitive, and pretty easy for the human brain to process. But within the film, it's used during scenes involving reanimated corpses, violent attacks, and escalating threats. One of the most notable moments occurs when zombies emerge from a graveyard while the same upbeat music plays. The soundtrack doesn't acknowledge the shift in tone. This disconnect leaves the audience without emotional guidance. Unlike traditional horror scoring, where music warns viewers of danger, Frizzi's approach removes that sense of anticipation. Without those cues, the violence feels abrupt and unpredictable. The effect becomes even stronger when the film shifts back to Frizzi's darker cues, such as Voodoo Rising. The alternation between ominous synthesizers and cheerful island music makes each return of the pleasant theme even more unsettling. This method works because it disrupts expectations. Viewers are conditioned to rely on music for emotional contact. When the score contradicts the imagery, the brain receives conflicting information. This creates cognitive tension. The pleasant music signals safety, but the visuals show danger. The contrast amplifies the impact of the violence because the viewer has been guided into a vulnerable state. Other filmmakers have used similar techniques. A Clockwork Orange pairs classical music with acts of aggression. Reservoir Dogs uses a cheerful 70s hit during a torture sequence. But in Zombie, the music feels like part of the environment itself. It represents the island's atmosphere, even as the island becomes increasingly dangerous. Over time, the repetitive structure of the theme adds another layer. The melody loops in a way that starts calm, but eventually feels detached and mechanical. This supports the film's themes of decay and inevitability. Zombie became a major title in the history of horror cinema, not only for its graphic effects, but also for the unconventional scoring choices. Frizzi's music has influenced numerous filmmakers and composers, especially within the horror comedy and neo-giallo genres. In recent years, Frizzi has toured internationally, performing the score live alongside screenings. These events highlight just how central the soundtrack is to the film's identity. So, the collaboration between Lucio Fulci and Fabio Frizzi allowed the score to become more than background music. It plays a central role in shaping the film's atmosphere and continues to be studied for its unusual approach to sound and fear. The hidden trick in the Zombie soundtrack is simple. It uses pleasant, reassuring music in moments of extreme violence. This breaks the unexpected relationship between sight and sound, forcing the viewer into a state of uncertainty. By removing familiar warning signs, the film makes its horror feel more sudden, more intrusive, and more difficult to predict. This approach shows how a soundtrack can influence tension not by being frightening, but by withholding fear entirely. So what other films use pleasant music during disturbing scenes that you know of? Share your examples in the comments, and if you want more breakdowns of how sound and filmmaking techniques shape the experience of horror, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for your next weird story.